All right, so we're going to look at tying a radium release hitch here. Radium release hitch is mostly just putting together a bunch of components that we've learned previously with a couple of new little twists on it. So let's look at them. First of all, I'm going to start off. I need two locking carabiners and a long piece of my 10 meter piece of 8mm cord to tie the radium release hitch. At the end of my cord here, I'm going to tie an overhand on a bite. I can do it figure eight on a bite as well. I like an overhand on a bite. It kind of makes a nice small profile for my radium release. Of course, I want an appropriate amount of tail on my knot and a nice small bite on my overhand on a bite. I'm going to clip that into one locking carabiner. I'm then going to clip a strand into the other locking carabiner, and I find it's easiest to practice doing this if you have at least one of these locking carabiners that's clipped into something. If you're trying to hold it all in space, it doesn't work very well. So I've got the end clipped into one carabiner, running through another, back through the original one, and then up into the top biner here. So I'm going to clip a munter hitch into that biner. So tie munter hitch whichever way you know how, which is described in another video. Clip that thing in there. And we know that the munter hitch will allow rope to go through it. As we pass rope through, it'll allow this to extend. It'll also allow us to contract this whole thing. So if I contract it up nice and short, really nice and tight, and then flip the munter over so that it's in the position where it's about to extend, and just separate these, about 8 inches or so. And then at this point, I'm going to tie off the munter hitch. And so the way I tie off the munter hitch, secure this thing, I'm going to tie it off with a slippery half hitch first. So I'm going to come around the back here with a bite of rope coming through this little hole here that I've created and pull through about 1.5 feet of slack there, about 1.5 feet of slack. Pull that up nice and tight. It's a half hitch, which is just a bite around in a single loop there, and it's slippery because if there's one strand I pull, the whole thing will come untied. Okay, great. So I've got my slippery half hitch there, and then I'm going to secure this finally with an overhand. So again, I'm going to come around the back, but this time instead of doing the half hitch coming in the middle here of that same loop, I'm going to cross those strands and pull my bite out so that the bite is coming away from the munter hitch. I have enough slack there, appropriate tail on my knot, and so I've created an overhand which secures my slippery half hitch, and that completes my radium release hitch.